could you fall so far? You should be ashamed of yourself. So I was ashamed of myself. The lies I believed, they got some roots that run deep. I let them take a hold of my life. I let them take control of my life. Standing in your presence, Lord, I can feel you digging all the roots up. I feel you healing all the wounds up. All I can say is hallelujah.
Look what you've done. Look what you've done in me. You spoke the truth and knew the lies and made my thoughts believe. Look what they know. Look what you made me new. Look what you've done.
Suddenly all the shame is gone. I thought I was too broken, but now I see you were breaking new ground inside.
Well, look what you've done in me, Lord. This episode, I really wanted to take time to share a little bit of the things that God has done in me. What I've done, things I've done. This particular song just spoke to me, and the whole thing about the saying, "Look what have you done," is first talked about people talking to you, and then next, how you're talking to God and what He's done in you, and the things that I'm gonna go ahead and pause this. So I was thinking of different things I could be talking about and sharing about. Specifically, just recently, my husband and I are looking to get into an RV and move into an RV park. And as we were going through that, we were told that we could put a certain amount of money on it, and we could get financing, and everything just kind of fell through. And yet, at the same time, God's showing us that we're not just looking for just ourselves. And so, as the things that He's been doing through us is that we've learned over the past year that God's been putting on our heart to not just look for housing for ourselves, but others. And so, leading Forgot Not Mobilizing Missions has been connecting with individuals that need a safe place to go to have understanding of what the Word of God is and what it is for them, and to go and go into missions and mobilize in missions, and yet in some shape or form minister as well as for couples, and help strengthen their marriage as a ministry together. And we've seen such an impact on how we have been working together in ministry, and it can be a struggle. And so in that aspect, we just really wanted to help other people. But during this challenge, is we faced a lot of people say, well, you can't buy land. You know, you're in a position that you probably will never be able to do that. And just recently met like a couple that have also been walking by faith, and yet they're like, God's the one with the pockets. God's the one who's doing things in you. And that's the thing that I just want to like stick with you, is that you're maybe going through a situation where God's working something in you, and He one moment. Sorry about that. And anyways, you might be in a situation where you might need like that encouragement right now to say, hey, Preston, Just because someone might say you can't do something doesn't mean that God says, I'm going to do it through you. There's things that He wants to do in you. And I know I'm not going like real crazily deep or anything like with this, but because it really did go deep with me. But I specifically been struggling with flashbacks of like, okay, Lord, like, what are you doing? And I get flashbacks of things that God has been pulling through, and yet there were great struggles in my life. We faced living in our car and living in a van, doing life, van lifing. We've we've lived in a tent. And all for those reasons, God has literally shown us things that through that, and going through that, we've started business together, and maybe they didn't pan out right away, and yet God has shown us that through that we have gotten some skill sets that we wouldn't have had if we went through those things. And not that we can't go back and like pursue those business opportunities again, that maybe didn't work out right away. But I just encourage you to press into whatever God's doing in you, and that no matter what anyone says or anything that is going on, that you can't see it, just trust in Hebrews 11:1, and what His Word says is, faith is believing in something that you can't see, and yet He has it for you. So press on and take care.